smarter business.
If you have something to buy, sell, or trade, call me. Weekday mornings at 7:50 for Swap and Shop.
WGNS, AM, FM, and online.
Hi, I'm Wade Hayes, owner of Toots Good Food and Fun. I strongly believe that volunteers make a positive difference in the quality of life here in our community.
Billy Ray Young is the endless volunteer. He cares about others and is always there when you need help. No matter what the weather might be, he volunteers to help the sick, to aid those with broken vehicles. His volunteer work even includes Greenhouse Ministries and Steered Straight. Billy Ray Young is the always helping volunteer. He cares about others, and he's always there to help you.
At Toots, we strongly believe that it's important for every one of our citizens to give some of their time and talent back into the community. And we want to honor these individuals with a Toots gift certificate good at any of our Rutherford County locations. 860 Northwest Broad Street, on Church Street in the Barfield area, in Smyrna on Sam Ridley, and Toots West on Franklin Road at Rucker Lane.
We're News Radio WGNS 100.5, 101.9, 1450. Online and on your phone at WGNSradio.com. The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome back into a Wednesday Roundtable here on WGNS. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. And just busy times as we head into, gosh, I can't believe it. It is the 15th of November today, which makes no sense at all. Thanksgiving is next week. It is moving way too fast. Brian is here, and we're in the midst of high school football. We're only, after coming up it's 2 weeks from this week, Blue Cross Bowl down in Chattanooga, and huge games leading up, including Battle of the Borough Part 2 for 2023, and you guys will have that on Friday night. With Riverdale and Oakland, which Riverdale winning earlier has added a little extra spice to it this year.
Certainly has. It was the first time in 12 years that Riverdale has won that battle, and this is the 7th meeting in the playoffs, the first time since 2020 between these two, and it's going to be very interesting. The Battle of the Borough at Oakland that took place in the last game of the regular season, Chip, I went out at halftime and there were people still trying to get in, and the fire marshal was turning people away.
Wow.
So they said there were 12,000 there and no place to put them, so I don't know. But, I mean, there were cars in the parking lot and all over the street lining to Jarnett at the middle school. The middle school parking lot was full. And there was just no place to put people.
I'm sure they're doing online tickets for Friday night, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that would be the thing to do. Go ahead and get those.
Well, you better.
Or you won't get any at all.
Part of the problem is Oakland and Riverdale, they're doing construction. And so there's really no place to put people and in terms of parking. And so you're having to park places.
Invent some spots.
Well, there were spots being invented just about everywhere. So I have no idea where they're going to be able to put people.
But you guys will be on at what time?
We'll go on at 6:30 with the pregame show. 7 o'clock will be the kickoff, and we'll kind of go from there.
All right. So that begins a very busy weekend of sports here on WGNS. Football playoffs Friday night, then Saturday. You're going to have Blue Raider football. You're going to have women's basketball from the Bahamas, and you may or may not get the tail end of a men's basketball game. Well, that will yet to be determined, but all of that can be heard here on WGNS. All right, our guest today has the distinct honor of being the first 3-time guest on this show. That would be Shane Petty, former Chief Ranger with Tennessee State Parks, and you get all the rights and privileges that go with that. So good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Chip. Thank you, buddy.
Good deal. You have a new book out, and when you and I talked, over a year ago for the first time that you came on here, I said, Shane, you have written a book. I wasn't sure you ever read a book. So now you have your third. Is this your third book?
No, this is my second.
Second.
I'm working on the third.
Working on the third.
So it'll be a horse book. So.
Okay, that's right. And because the first was the dog book.
Yes. Which
is about all of your rescues and things with dogs.
Right.
This one is about rescues and you tell me what it's about. It's called So God Made Rangers by Shane Petty, and you can look it up on Amazon, and you can order your copy from there.
So it's really my tribute to Tennessee State Park Rangers. I was allowed to work over 33 years with them, and the last 25 as chief. So I directed over 250 rangers on so many searches and rescues and recoveries across the state within the park system, some in the national park system when they requested us. So this was just a good way for me to record history for my kids and my grandkids, so they know that I was kind of cool at one time.
Yeah.
and just an appreciation and a dedication to all the state park rangers.
Yeah. When was your retirement date?
It was July of 2022.
So you're about 15 months or so,
right.
15, 16 months out from being retired. And like a lot of folks, the itch never stops. So you have been lured out of retirement and working over in Murray County.
Yes. Whoever said you can't go home, but of course Murray County is home for both you and I. And I was very fortunate to be asked to come assist with the Office of Emergency Management with Murray County as their operations chief.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that real quick. That, when we were kids growing up, there was, I think there was no Office of Emergency Management. I guess, is this what the old civil defense has morphed into?
Sure.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we a couple of us were looking at some old newspapers that I found at my parents' house, and it had for historical stuff, and it had pictures of J.C. Inman, who started some of the civil defense, and then from there it morphed into rescue squads. Some laws have changed over the years where they will have changed a lot of those into EMAs, emergency management agencies.
Yeah, and so in all across the country, we've seen, from Homeland Security on the national level down to the state level, and then emergency management on the county level. So there is a streamlined process now.
Yes, and I'm very impressed. Of course, Murray County has grown since we both left there, but I am very impressed at all the resources and the ability and the training. And with the Murray County Fire Department, they have the city, but the fire departments, they're all volunteers, and it is tremendous of the number of calls they get and the professionalism of the volunteers.
Last week on this show, Pettis Reed, who is a county commissioner here, longtime communication director with Tennessee Farm Bureau. He and I were talking about the Rutherford County Fire Department, and there's Rutherford County is in the process of building new public safety buildings across the county that will house county fire, will house an ambulance, and at each one of these locations to better serve the public. But right now, a lot of times when you live in the city and you just go about your day, you don't realize how big a problem we're having with dry weather right now. And the Rutherford County Fire Department has had, they've had some equipment that has gotten in harm's way with some of these brush fires that start moving really quickly. And when I called you to come on here, you were out dealing with a fire that day over down in Murray County.
Yeah, it's we're in very very tough drought conditions, which leads to tremendous wildfire issues. So we really urge everyone to be really fire wise right now.
From a local perspective, and doesn't matter which county it is, when you get a field of winter wheat or a hay field that somebody has, whether it's on purpose or not, when it starts going, that is a hard thing to put out, especially if you've got a little breeze that day.
Sure. Yeah, that's the only thing that saved us last week is the wind did not get up.
And you contain it a little bit?
Yeah. Forestry was able to come in with dozers, and we were able to cut a line, because lots of times you just can't stop those. If it gets a little wind behind it, it's its own monster.
Yeah, one of the things you folks around the county here in Rutherford County can in the planning and in the equipment purchasing process. One of the things Pettis talked about, I can't remember whether we were on the air or off when he talked about it, but Rutherford County Fire has 5 tankers that each hold 3,000 gallons each, and depending on the size of the fire, they can muster all 5 and link them together to where they have 15,000 gallons of water to deal with, and can put a lot of water on a fire if needed.
Yeah, I got to see a mutual aid, my first fire, the first week that I worked in Murray County. The city was requested. They didn't have a hydrant on site, so the county backfilled to them, and they just hooked all their pumpers together and just kept the water. So very impressive.
Very impressive indeed. All right, the book is So God Made Rangers, and this goes back to the very beginning of your tenure as a park ranger in Tennessee State Parks, correct?
Yes.
And
yes.
So I'm curious. I mean, this is your second book. The first one deals with all the we talked about it when you were on before, about different rescues and searches that you did with dogs. And this one is more just general park rangers. There's a dedication, and there was you had the death of a ranger that I think may have inspired you to do part of this.
Well, yeah, yes, and a lot of it was a friend that he and I started together as seasonal rangers. He went a different path, and I went on to be a ranger, but he was killed on the Appalachian Trail with he and his girlfriend, and that just really motivated me to make our trails and things as safe as I could in the state park system, and then we were requested on my first 2 major searches were to assist the National Park Service in 1993 and 94, and it was back-to-back young boys that got lost from their parents. And the first one, unfortunately, got off the trail, tried to find his way back, fell off about a 100-foot cliff to his death.
Ooh.
But it's still a search,
right?
Until you find the individual, then it becomes a recovery. And then the next one was a 9-year-old boy that got lost off from Klingman's Dome, which it's a paved trail. And he got separated, got off the trail, same thing, trying to beat his parents to the parking lot. 5-day search, but we found him alive, just barely. He would not have made it another day, I don't believe.
And that, and I've been there, and that, and I'm sure he was just trying to cut across, think I can go right across there, beat them to the parking lot.
Absolutely.
And it is amazing that in an instant you make one wrong turn, and all of a sudden you get turned around in your head, and he's he's lost.
It's 500,000 acres. He ended up on the Appalachian Trail, then got dark. He ended up in a drainage, and I mean, it's a needle in a haystack.
Well, so he ended up in a drainage culvert, kind of, or
when I say drainage, just a creek drainage from the mountain going down. And in his head, he's thinking, I'm going down to the parking lot. In theory, that's right, but if you think of a compass and the declination's off a little bit, you're not gonna find your way out.
Now, when you in this case, because he was obviously, fortunately, found alive, but it took you guys 5 days to get him.
Yes. The National Park Service had been looking for him and tracking him, and it's why we do a lot of what's called man tracking with the Tennessee Law Enforcement Academy, Tennessee Emergency Management. We do these classes. This little boy had little dockers on, and they had little triangles, maybe 100, 150 triangles on the bottom of his sole.
Right.
National Park Rangers found 5 little diamonds
in some soft
in
dirt
where
or mud or
he
whatever.
stepped over a log, so they knew they had a good close approximation. They sent us in the next day. I went in with a team of National Park Rangers and State Park Rangers, and 4 or 5 hours in to we found him.
And that's just, I mean, and that is very meticulous. You didn't have the dogs with you that day.
I did not. There was a dog team that was on there,
right?
And so it was just man tracking, just bushwhacking through the thickest, roughest country and very, very steep area.
So because you don't necessarily hear of folks that get lost on trails here in Middle Tennessee all that much, but most of those we hear about are up in, whether it's in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park or wherever it might be, or any of those parks. But when you go in, and as you mentioned, you use the word bushwhacking, what kind of equipment are you wearing on you and other rangers trying to do these searches when you're just doing it, as you mentioned, trying to go through the haystack and find that needle?
Sure. Well, you're going to take all of kind of what we call 10 essentials. They're going to be any, emergency or life-sustaining things, water, snacks, things like that. But we, medical kit, but you're pretty limited. I mean, you carry it in, it's on your back. And many times in the National Park Service, they would ask us to go in self-contained to stay a night or two.
Oh, really?
If you had to hike 15 to 18 miles in, you're not going to get much time to search this time of year, and you got to turn and come out. So we would take tarps or tents and camp out.
Yep. Shane Petty is our guest today. The book is So God Made Rangers. It is available on Amazon. We'll take a time out and get some more great stories. Tales from the Trail right here on WGNS.
Getting the kids to practice on time. Remembering if it's your day to bring snacks. Making it to the game with a clean jersey. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like whether your kid is going to run toward first or third base. That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Online at rayburn.net.
When the unexpected happens, fire, water, or storm damage, Farrah Construction can help. Farrah Construction is also there to help when a car slams through the wall, and that seems to happen more often these days. I'm Ron Hall. Let our family at Farrah Construction help you. Call Farrah Construction and we'll board up, put down tarps, secure your home or business until the insurance coverage is approved. I'm Ron Hall. Shop local. Let our family business help you. Farrah Construction Company.
Hey there, Rutherford County. It's Rick and Bubba, and we are pumped to be on WGNS. Be sure to join us weekdays noon till 2 right here.
At Middle Point, we are making major investments to transform our facility and our impact on the community. To date, we've invested $7.5 million in our on-site gas collection and control system, including the installation of 84 new gas wells and nearly 4,000 linear feet of horizontal collectors. These improvements have led to a 98% drop in odor reports, corresponding to a 52% increase in the landfill gas we collect. Follow along at middlepointlandfill.com.
This is the gift season, and Bell Jewelers is your gift headquarters. Hi, this is Trevor Tidwell at Bell Jewelers. One of those gifts might be a Pandora charm, bracelet, earrings. We have a Pandora department at Bell Jewelers, so we have all your Pandora needs. And speaking of gifts, do not forget about the men. We have Seiko, Longines, pre-owned Rolexes, and William Henry knives. If you really wanted to personalize that gift, we can engrave it. Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad, across from Toots.
Enjoy life at Adams Place.
Had to argue with them about whether or not I'm going to play bridge, because I hadn't played it for about 25 years, but they still want me to do it, so that was very nice. My name is Carrie Shannon. There's so many things that you can do to help us keep feeling younger at Adams Place. I'm glad we made this choice.
I'm Terry Deal. Call me for more information about Adams Place, located at 1927 Memorial Boulevard, across from Walmart.
Call Adams Place today at 615-904-9111.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the Law Offices of John Day. I've lived and worked as a lawyer in Middle Tennessee for over 30 years, and to me, every single day has been an honor. That's why our firm is so involved with community programs like bicycle helmet giveaways and our Safe Ride Home program. At the Law Offices of John Day, we're not just looking to make donations. We want to make a difference in the community we hold so dear. And if you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too.
For over 76 years, WGNS has been letting you know what's happening. Now, more Good Neighbor events. With so many new people to town, you may not have heard of the Bethlehem Marketplace, but Southeast Baptist Church is offering their 39th reenactment of the Bethlehem Marketplace, Saturday and Sunday, December 9th and 10th. It's all free. You actually feel as if you're walking through the village of Bethlehem the morning after the birth of Jesus. Live camels, animals, and so much more. It's all free. The Bethlehem Marketplace, and that's at Southeast Baptist Church. This is a hard time of the year if you've lost a loved one, and there are 2 grief support group meetings that are free here in our community. One is every Wednesday morning at 10 at the St. Clair Street Senior Center. The other is the following day, Thursday mornings at 9:30, and that's in the Pavilion at Oakland's Park, right next to Oakland's Mansion, Thursday mornings at 9:30. Don't forget, the Art Studio Tour is all this weekend. Don't miss it. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good neighbor weather. Partial sunshine develops here this afternoon with a high around 70 degrees. Southeast winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy and a low near 49. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 52.
Middle Tennessee Electric brings you the lighting of the downtown Murfreesboro Christmas tree December 1st at 5:30 in front of the local courthouse. See you at the family-friendly event that ushers in the holiday season at 5:30 December 1st. If you can't make it, watch it on Big G TV Live on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Wednesday Roundtable. Chip Walters here with Shane Petty. We're talking about his book, So God Made Rangers, and it details his career as the chief ranger for Tennessee State Parks. And it's always interesting the titles of chapters. And we were talking about some of your very first searches and rescues. One successful, one not successful, and that's just part, that's why the urgency comes so fast when somebody gets lost. Is there a rule of thumb, like you've got 24 hours or 48 hours that gives you the best chance to find someone, whether it's a lost person or a criminal that you're tracking?
Sure. Well, with a lost person, we call that search urgency.
Right.
And what drives that is usually the weather. What is the weather out? Looking at hypo or hyperthermia. So that drives a big one. Another one drives it is age, young child versus an older child. A prepared 36-year-old guy that's got all of his equipment may be injured, called 911, fell and broke his leg. That's an emergency, but he has survivability skills and equipment versus that 9-year-old that's just out there in shorts and T-shirts at Klingman's Dome. He's going to get hypothermic pretty quick.
And in here, you've got stories of all different kinds of searches and rescues. What is the mindset of a ranger going into a search for a lost person as opposed to someone who does not want to be found?
Okay, well, that's good. All lost people, don't want to be found. You're exactly right. So, the biggest thing is life-saving. Is you want to get there as quick as you can. It is why all of our rangers are trained in search operations, man tracking, but they're also not only do we go to the law enforcement academy, but they're all medics. They're either EMRs in the state or EMTs, and several are paramedics. So we certainly want to be able to take care of life-saving skills, and then you've got to find them, and then it's the goes from rescue to recovery. How do you get them out? Whether it's just you hoping the individual can walk themselves out if they were just lost, but if they're injured, you've got to put them in a basket. Or we have worked a lot with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, their aviation unit. The National Guard Service now has hoist capabilities, so we use them a lot, especially in eastern Tennessee where it is just pretty rugged, and it's going to take several hours to get them out.
But if it's a criminal who does not want to be found, number one, you're trying to find them.
Sure.
But you also have to. You may not be necessarily worried about your safety going in to find a child who's lost, but this adds another layer to it.
Sure. You've got to be stealthy about it. You've got to limit that. If it's at night, you've got flashlights, headlamps out. Well, the bad guy can see that. So lots of times we'll go without that and go to night vision. Again, we will use the Tennessee Highway Patrol an awful lot with their aviation unit to be able to use FLIR, forward looking infrared, to walk us in. So officer safety is always the utmost important on those situations.
All right, I'm going to ask you about a couple of titles and of chapters here, some that ring very close to home here in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. Here's one called The Rock Island Miracle.
The Rock Island Miracle. I had been to Rock Island State Park on a body recovery, unfortunately, and we had been there for several days. This was in 2011, and as I was leaving the park, there was a van full of kids. I want to say 13 young girls that had been to a cheerleading camp.
Okay.
And they pulled out on Highway 70, and an 18-wheeler hit them at about 70 miles an hour. It's 70-mile-an-hour speed zone, and every one of the young girls were ejected, and I witnessed that.
You saw it happen?
I saw it happen, and in the EMS field, you look at triage. You've got to look at put them in a line of certainly getting resources there, which I called for everything in the county and several helicopters, and then I ran to them to see who one of them may have lost their life, who can you save the best, who's not injured, and God does step in to so many things, but none of those girls were killed.
Wow.
None of them were seriously injured. They had a lot of road rash, but to have
they were in a van, I'm guessing?
They were in a van, yes.
Wow.
It rolled several times, ejected all of them. Several of them had pretty bad road rash. A couple I think we sent to the hospital, but God was in command on that day.
Yeah, that was a miracle over there. Here's one. We just had Halloween here a couple weeks ago. The Fall Creek Falls Ghost.
We had
interesting chapter titles.
Well, you try to make it a little bit interesting. We had an individual that unfortunately he was contemplating and had been for a while of taking his own life. And he had actually left. One of the rangers working the night shift, Carol Alexander, found his vehicle in the Fall Creek Falls overlook. And, of course, it's closed at dark, and there was actually a note in there that said he had jumped over the edge. And so the urgency of a search there, you have to weigh that out as you talked of if somebody did go off 200 foot, the probability that they may survive is pretty low.
Small.
But there's that chance. So we had to take a very risk, and this is, again, why God made Rangers. I let the Rangers at Fall Creek make the decision is, are we going to rappel over the edge it was 11 o'clock at night by this time, to see it just in case he was hung in a tree or on the side of the cliff. There's really not a good way to get down there, so this is the most efficient, quickest. They were able to rappel down, couldn't find him. Looked everywhere. So we decided bad weather was coming in. We had set up a search for the next morning, and I drove up, and I was meeting with the park manager and the ranger that found the vehicle at the gates of the overlook, and right at daylight. And we were about three miles from his vehicle. And as I was reading the note that was left in his vehicle, something came out of the woods, walked across the road, and went back into the woods. And it was so ghost-like. It was eerie. And in my head...
Oh, I mean, did you see it out of your peripheral
yes,
vision or something?
I was reading that note. I saw him in my peripheral, and I just looked, and I said, guys, did y'all see that? The other people didn't see it, the other rangers and park manager. So I took off running, thinking this could be our guy. And he looked like he was going to take off running from me. So I said, well, I knew I had to tackle him because he gets away if this is him. But in my mind, I thought, what if this is just a park visitor out for a morning walk and I tackle him? But it was him. He had some mental issues that he was dealing with. And
he had decided not to jump.
I actually had a friend the next day that interrupted him. He came to me. I saw him at the restaurant the next day, a friend of mine. We hadn't seen each while. And he said, Shane, yesterday I saw an individual on the edge of the cliff, and I really thought he was going to jump. And after we compared notes, I said, well, you probably saved his life. So this individual came off the cliff, somehow got lost and just wandered around in the woods all night. And it would have been another major search if he hadn't walked out of the woods that morning.
Yeah. Wow. That's...
So we'll take luck anytime, you know.
Had he been, before you caught him, before you caught the ghostly image of him walking across, had he been hiding? Or had he been wandering?
We think he was just wandering all night because, like I said, he was several miles from his vehicle, and he was just lost, and he had just wandered. And what are the chances that he crossed that road at that time of morning that we would be sitting there, because the area he walked into was going to be about 10,000 acres.
Yeah.
And so we would have had a major search, but we would have been looking at the overlook instead of where he popped out.
Wow.
So we'll take luck.
Yeah, and you will, and sometimes when you know how to do your job, and you prepare well, you seem to make your own luck a lot of times.
Sure.
That's in any business.
Absolutely. We just happen to be at the right spot to meet, and and we'll take it because it saved a lot of time and man hours.
Here's one that, again, has a bit of a Halloween theme, the Hanging Man train wreck. Tell us a little bit about that story. That's interesting.
I wished you hadn't have picked that one because this is a joke on me.
Oh,
so
we'd never want that.
Early in my career, most rangers, especially early in their career, live on park residence, so on the park, so we can respond. So I was at my house one evening.
And this was at Henry Horton?
At Henry Horton.
Because you were at Henry Horton Park. You've lived there, right around there on one side or the other of the Duck River for a long time.
Yes. I was able, as chief, I kept my office there in my residence. So this was when I was a young ranger. The sheriff's department called and said, Shane, our deputies are tied up. Ambulance is on the way, but there's a train has hit a vehicle just below the park on River Road. And they asked me if I could respond and give them an update and treat the patient. And so...
and this is right there near Henry Horton, right?
Right at Henry Horton,
okay.
Yes. There's a train that runs right below the park, just a couple of miles off property. And as I ran out the front door, my car was parked out in the front yard, and as I ran out the door, now, of course, we wear uniforms, and back then, our uniforms were 100% polyester.
But all they had crisp creases in them.
Yes, that's why you go with polyester. You don't have to iron. So as I ran out the door, I hit the, not screen door, but the plate glass door, storm door, and it flew open, and as I ran out, the door came back, and the knob of the door caught my sleeve. I had on short sleeves, and as I was running off the porch, it ripped a hole in my sleeve, and I fell off the edge of the porch. But my feet weren't touching the ground, so I was the hanging man.
Oh, were you caught on the latch of a door?
I was caught on the latch of the door on my arm. My feet couldn't touch the ground, and I couldn't get up. I couldn't reach the porch. I was hanging in the air. And I'm needing to respond to this emergency, and all I could hear were sirens coming down the road. and they're going to have to come right by my house. I mean,
And they're going to see this.
They're going to see me hanging there, and I would be the brunt of many jokes.
Here's the chief, and I'm sure there would not have been any photos made of you with their cell phones or anything like that.
Well, I was able to get released, made it there, and working the scene. They kept saying, "Shane, why do you not have a left sleeve?" So I took my knife out and had to cut my sleeve off. So we made it to the rescue. A good friend of mine was there. We got him out. Everything's good.
All right. At least it ended in a good way,
Yes.
and you were able to cut yourself out from that dastardly doorknob. So, all right, Shane Petty is our guest. The book is So God Made Rangers. We're going to take a break. Got a good story for you coming up next, so stick with us here on the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS.
It's time for the under 65 health insurance open enrollment period. Do you have pre-existing medical conditions? Planning a baby? Feel more comfortable with the full coverage option? Let us help you. Cover My Assets Insurance Group works with multiple carriers to find the right plan for you. Call us today at 615-345-0411 or look us up online at covermyassets.com. That's covermyassets.com.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2023. Save 60%. Code 2023. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstireprostn.com.
If you want to get some barbecue, I'll tell you how to do it. Head for the Slick Pig and you're into it. Just walk through the door at 1920 East Main and your nose will send a message right to your brain. Say, smells good, and barbecue. Slick Pig. We got ribs and beans. Got spicy wings. Slick Pig.
A Murfreesboro tradition. 1920 East Main.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Wednesday Roundtable. Chip Walters here. Shane Petty is our guest, the retired Chief Ranger of Tennessee State Parks, and his new book is So God Made Rangers. You're going to want to pick that up from Amazon. Great stories about recoveries and rescues throughout the state of Tennessee during his career as a park ranger. We're also happy to have with us today Tad Craig from Craig and Wheeler Real Estate down in Bedford County, who had an encounter on Saturday night, I think, Tad, that has gone viral. If you've seen the bear pictures, that's all I've got to say. If you've seen the bear pictures from this past weekend, it happened right in front of Tad's house. Is that right?
That is correct, man. About 12:30 Saturday night, I received a call from State Trooper Barry Qualls, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sleeping." He said, "Well, you might want to get up and look out your front window." And I did. And Chip, there were 7 or 8 police officers, sheriff's deputies, and troopers. Blue lights were everywhere. And I'm like, "What's going on?" He said, "Get in your truck and come down here now." So I did, and I drove down there, and they're all looking at me kind of just like, "What is he going to say?" And Barry told me, he goes, "There's a bear." I said, "Whatever." And I said, "Come on." He said, "There's a bear dead on the side of the road, and we need your help." And I'm thinking, he's joking, because we're friends. I've sold half of the guys, the police officers and the troopers' houses. I mean, we're all buddies. And I walk up, and they just kind of step to the side, and my jaw dropped. This thing, and I've been around bears. I've hunted in Alaska, I've fished in Alaska. I went to UT, so I've hiked all over the Smokies, and I've seen a lot of black bear. But I hadn't seen one like this. Chip, my jaw literally dropped wide open. And I said, "Guys," and I dropped on my knees, and I touched his paws, and they were just kind of staring at it. And this thing was massive.
I mean, we've seen a lot of stories, over the last 6-8 months about, people tracking, one or two that came, through neighborhoods here in Murfreesboro, over, from over in Franklin down through Shelbyville. But those were typically young males that were, trying to find a date or whatever it might be. This thing was huge. This was a very mature bear.
Absolutely. I mean, 78 inches from nose to tail, 72 inches from wingspan, paw to paw. And Larry Thurston's the game warden. He was there, and Larry just shook his head. I sold him a house 20 years ago. We're good friends. And I said, "Larry, what the hell?" And he said, "Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a big bear." I said, "This is not your typical couple 100-pound, 150-pound, bear. This is different." Well, the cops were trying to load it up, and I don't know how many of them were there, but they couldn't get it in the back of the truck. So they called me because they all knew where I lived, and they said, "Hey, go get your tractor and the front end loader." So we loaded it in the back of the truck. They took it to a regional office somewhere in Tullahoma near Arnold, and I think they pulled a tooth called the peg tooth. Your buddy Shane Petty could tell more about that than myself, because I'm not a bear hunter, but I think it has rings in it.
Like a tree, kind of.
That's it. Yeah, it'll age the bear. So I haven't been told the age yet, but I'm real curious.
Well, are you keeping an eye out? Because, if I don't know if he's a bachelor just living out there near your house, but I'm hearing more and more stories. I wonder if did the game warden tell you, do they think we're getting more black bear in this area just as a regular occurrence?
I think with all the habitat loss, all the development, I mean, there's neighborhoods springing up everywhere. And northern Alabama has a tail of Appalachians. We're not that far from there. We're 50 miles from Huntsville. And so when you start pushing, animals, all the neighborhoods, all the subdivisions, even a 100-acre plot, once it's gone, and they have to migrate somewhere. And, I've got a neighbor that was shooting rifles and just sighting in rifles for deer season on Sunday, and he sent me a text. He goes, "Hey, I think I know where he's been eating." And under a thicket of cedar trees, he found 3 white-tailed deer carcasses, stripped to the bone. And
wow.
They were kind of buried under some leaves, and bears will typically bury their food like that. So it was just kind of odd and strange, and there may be another one around it. I don't know. My dogs have gone nuts. That night they didn't quit barking. I've got some outdoor dogs, so who knows? But my wife, Chip, 2 years ago saw a mountain lion in our front yard, and my mother's seen it, my neighbors have seen it. So I think we've got wildlife all over Tennessee, mountain lion, cougars, whatever you want to call them. They're rare, but they're here, and most of them are nocturnal, and they're like ghosts. I mean, they don't want to mess with you, bears. I've been laughing. Everybody's like, "Are you scared?" I'm like, "No, man. They're like that's a rarity. I mean, it's a special thing to even see one. I just hate it got hit."
Yeah, absolutely. And if folks have not seen it, just search Tad Craig on Facebook. He's got a ton of pictures. There's some on WGNSradio.com. But Tad, I'm telling you, you got quite a story to tell, and I'm sure your phone's been ringing. And I appreciate you coming on and telling the story here for just a few minutes. And I know you're a busy man, so it's time to go sell something.
Well, man, it's crazy. I told somebody today I really wish that my real estate post and my listings went as viral. It has been unbelievable, unbearable.
I see what you did there.
There you go. Well, man, hey, one of my best friends is named Shane Petty. He is the plant manager of Bridgestone in Laverne. So yesterday when you called and you said Shane Petty's going to be on the call, I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. So I tell him he needs to be careful.
That's crazy. A different Shane Petty here. There's a couple of Chip Walters on Facebook, and we all follow each other. So
oh, that's fantastic. Well, Shane Petty, nice to meet you, man.
You too, brother. Thanks for everything.
Y'all take care, Chip. I really appreciate what you're doing, and tell Scott Walker I said hello, and y'all take care.
All right, see you, Tad.
See you, buddy. Take care.
There's Tad Craig. He's an auctioneer and realtor with Craig and Wheeler down in Shelbyville. But, I mean, the bears, it unnerves people a little bit. But, I mean, what he said is really true. They're nocturnal.
Sure.
They're not looking to – I mean, they're either out looking for a mate or looking for food, and they typically do it at night.
Or they're looking in your garbage can.
Right.
So we'll have to kind of watch that. They are foragers in garbage cans.
Yeah. He mentioned that there had been a mountain lion, and you see every once in a while. That's not as uncommon as bears, but we're seeing, we grew up when there were a lot of bobcats around.
Sure.
They kind of went away. A lot of foxes went away. Now there's a lot more red foxes around. There's a lot more bobcats. I mean, we've seen several photos of along the Stones River here.
Sure.
People have spotted them along the river. So what about in your ranger life? What kind of animals and in particular out in the wild have you all run across?
Well, it's, of course, the infiltration out of coyotes, they are really prevalent. So we'll get a lot of phone calls, people out tent camping, and they're scared to death because they'll hear a pack hollering. But they're just communicating, or they're calling back to their mom, or just identifying with each other. So we do get now. I did have a really good friend, and some of our rangers did work a fatality in the Hawassi-Ocoee area state park in the national forest down there on a fatality from a black bear. So a young girl got in between the mom and some babies, and mom was just defending. So there is an inherent risk. The idea, the learning point is just, give them their space, let them, their wild animals go on. They're not going to bother you, but, they're like anything. If I get in between, a parent and their child and look a little defensive, the parent's going to be defensive. So
yeah.
just be pretty wise when you're going in the time of year that you're in the woods.
Yeah, but, I mean, and you kind of keep an ear on this. Do you feel like I kind of asked, Tad about this a little bit. We had the strays that would come through here from time to time. Do you feel like, for instance, we didn't have armadillos here 20 years ago.
Yeah, and they're everywhere.
And now you got possums on the half shell, just about everywhere. Do you think that the black bear population is moving and that as we develop more land, we're pushing them out of certain areas and they end up somewhere else?
Sure. I think you could say they're here to stay. However, the loss of habitat is going to push them. So that, they're going to be in areas of the county, but it's going to still be the rural areas, the still mountainous, where they can kind of be stealthy,
Yep. And so just be careful if you see something. And I doubt you're going to see a bear like he saw, that big, but then it was big enough where they had to load it with a front end loader on a tractor. And I'll be interesting. I'll make sure that he when they let him know how old this bear was, it was a mature bear, we'll try to pass that along as well. Going back to your book here, we've got 5 minutes or so, and it is available on Amazon. I want to remind folks, if you like good stories about rescues and they're all here local. They're all within the borders of this state, and I would imagine most of them, because you were based in Middle Tennessee, that most of them are in this area.
Sure. Most of them come from the plateau area, which more strenuous areas. Now, one thing, Chip, if you don't mind to plug on the book.
Sure.
I think one of the last times I was here, we had just run across a very tragic incident where the Tennessee Highway Patrol, a good friend of mine, Sergeant Lee Russell, was tragically killed in a helicopter crash in Marion County, along with one of their deputies.
Right. That's what I wanted to bring that up today and let you talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, Lee was a tremendous friend. He was going to be the uprising star pilot. Lieutenant Brad Lunn has done some of the most heroic stuff in Tennessee with rescues. And Lee was going to be that upcoming young trooper. He was a sergeant out of Carroll County. He and I had been on several search and rescues, and matter of fact, with my canine, I'd be in the woods by myself chasing a criminal, and he'd be watching me from the air. One I actually captured by myself, and I didn't have anybody.
Is that the one that was over at Montgomery Bell?
Yes, yeah.
That we talked about?
And he landed in the field.
Yeah.
So we, all of us in the law enforcement community, have a void in our heart with Lee.
And the details of that crash, you said he was in Marion County. Was that on a search?
They were in the process of assisting the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation on the governor's drug eradication process on marijuana eradication. And so thus they were in a low altitude. In that area, and just sun in his eyes more than likely, and the terrain just didn't see some highline wires, which that's an inherent risk when flying in a helicopter. But I've gotten to know his family, and 100% of my proceeds of my book go to the scholarship fund for his kids.
Okay.
So that was just something that was been heavy on my heart, and we had the Highway Patrol does a large officer memorial every year, and this last year it was pretty tough to see the helicopters go over without Lee, and his family was there. So that's the great thing, that 100% of the proceeds go to scholarship for Sergeant Lee Russell's 2 children.
So that should be enough right there. You can help in your own way by going to Amazon.com, look up So God Made Rangers, or put in Shane Petty's name, purchase the book, and you're going to help his kids go to college.
Absolutely.
So that being said, the Highway Patrol Aviation Group with their helicopters, I've always heard that in law enforcement, a couple of the best tools you can have are dogs, horses, and air support. How valuable is that when the air support part? Because we've talked about your dogs and horses an awful lot, but you mentioned that one case that we have talked about over at Montgomery Bell, but in general, the air support like that, how big of a boost can that help on the ground Rangers?
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, you just think about their ability to travel so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Now with their new helicopter, it's very stealthy, so you can't really hear it. But the technology that's on board, the camera system, the FLIR system, it's amazing of what it can do. It can spot a small Coke can, from
really?
1,800 feet. Their camera system is unbelievable of what the technology can do now.
I mean, we all know about heat seeking and
sure.
that kind of stuff, but they can really almost see through things.
Oh, sure, absolutely. His first time in the helicopter with him with his new system, he was able to show me read a basketball in a truck that was going down the interstate at 65 miles an hour in the opposite direction, while he's flying one direction. It was just once he locked the camera in, and it was just in the back of the truck rolling around.
And a lot of this technology that they're using on that helicopter is stuff that's been adapted from the military.
Absolutely.
Where they have where they can lock in a target
sure.
to shoot or bomb or whatever. But this is, they're not shooting and bombing from those helicopters typically, but it does help in search and rescue, a huge deal, and finding bad guys.
Sure. Almost every major search I had in my career, a ranger would call me. I would respond lots of times with my canine. My second call would be to the Highway Patrol for them to respond. And I do have to plug drones.
Yes.
That's a new, and most county EMAs have those now, and a lot of fire departments and police departments. So that's a lot cheaper and a quicker access, if Highway Patrol is tied up on another event.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of drones, one of the new programs in the aerospace department at Middle Tennessee State University here on campus is the drone program, which they've. I saw their drones up the other day, last Saturday at the football game. They were assisting in the television production and taking photos and doing things for the athletic department for some promotional work and using their drones. All right, important things here now. Here we are in November, and you have gone back to work. How has that impinged on your fishing?
It has tremendously cut it down. Now, I still need to make some time, but I was able to catch about 2,000 fish in 15 months of retirement. So
2,000?
And fishing's not cheap. So I had to go back to work to support my habit.
What was it? Was it October a year ago that you fished? You fished every day.
Yes.
You said you'd retired, gave it a couple of months, and you were going to go every day, and you did during the month of October.
Got it out of my system. Now it's back to work.
Yeah, and are you enjoying being back to work now?
Yes, it's very dedicated. A lot of my friends that I grew up with and folks that I've been on so many searches, and just a great idea to go back home to my home county and give back what little gas. I don't have a lot of gas in the tank, but I'm going to burn it till it's empty.
Did you and going back, it was one of the interesting things because we're all every county around here is experiencing major growth, and since you typically have been working in the parks over there, going back to Murray County, you're having to relearn your own home county.
Yes, but it's one county. I had 76 counties that the parks are in.
Yeah.
It's nice to have one county.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Shane, thanks for coming by. And again, folks, go to Amazon, and the book is So God Made Rangers by T. Shane Petty. And all the proceeds go to a great cause. Shane, thanks for coming by again today.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you having us.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, that's it for the Roundtable today. Coming up next week, Chris Jones, the CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric, will be with us, and that'll be an interesting show as well as they continue to grow and do really good things here in our community. Brian Barrett is next with Rutherford Issues here on WGNS. Have a great day.